Here we go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie Tolhurst, and welcome to the Charlie Tolhurst Show for today, the 27th of August. Just a few little things I needed to do before I started the show there. Welcome, everyone. We're live on YouTube tonight for a pretty action-packed hour or so of debate, chat, whatever you want to call it. We are back tonight, and as well as that, we have so much to get through. It is huge. So I'm joined by Labour Party supporter Zach Chambers to round up all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hi, Charlie. Hello, mate.
Hello, Zach. Now we're going to start off with this awful event in Liverpool this week. Well, I want to start by saying what the hell is going on with crime this week and last week alone. Now, you might remember a girl called Olivia Pratt-Corbell. She was stabbed earlier this week in Liverpool. My thoughts are with Olivia and her Olivia right now for this horrible passing. And also my thoughts are with her family, who are probably suffering in grief behind what happened. A couple of men went into the home. They broke in. One man chased the other man with a gun, trying to shoot him. And unfortunately, Olivia's mum got shot with one of the bullets in question. But Olivia got shot literally in a horrible place in her body. She was knocked unconscious. She was taken to hospital, but unfortunately, medics couldn't save her. Unfortunately, she died moments after the shooting had occurred. It is a vile act against humanity for suspects like this to be doing crime like this in the UK. It is getting worse. Metro mayors and any mayor that comes around needs to understand the importance of crime, especially in London. Sadiq Khan, I'm talking to you, of course. We need a stronger conversation on law and order, a stronger conversation on tougher laws against knife crime. People like this should not be allowed to get let off. They need to be arrested and put behind bars for the rest of their life. And Zach, what is your view on this horrendous shooting, especially for a 9-year-old girl this week in Liverpool?
Oh, I mean, God almighty. I mean, we have to lead on this again. I mean, it's unfortunate we have to, but it's a must, because last week we saw 87-year-olds in innocent mobility scooters getting stabbed, and now a 9-year-old being shot in her own home, literally in Liverpool. So, yeah, it is a wild and, quite frankly, horrifying incident that's happened. A man's been arrested. A 9-year-old girl. I think there was another arrest as well. With that, they've just bailed 2 men today. Police have bailed 2 men arrested over the death of Olivia Pratt-Corbell's death. As well, age 36 and 33. They got arrested on suspicion of murder. She got shot in her own home. In her own home. Not even safe in her own home, and she gets shot. That is the low of the lows, Charlie. As well. So 36-year-old from Highcombe arrested on Friday, arrested a 33-year-old arrested on the Thursday. The 36-year-old has been since called to prison after breaching the terms of his license. They've urged people to come forward as well. A gunman chased his intended target, who was made convicted burglar Joseph Nee, into the family home, injuring the mother as well, who's also 46 as well. It is a deliberate. I think in some ways, whether you shoot tend to target another person, this is a deliberate act of idiocy and coolness and heartlessness. I mean, the 9-year-old, for heaven's sake, a 9-year-old. How can people be so evil, Charlie? How so dim and nasty, and view the world in a way that killing 9-year-olds is so acceptable? Because it isn't. It's not, Charlie. And it's especially sad that these sort of incidents, like what happens with Olivia is still happening. It's just not on, and something has got to stop. Something has got to stop. Action's got to be taken, because they cannot keep getting away with it. Cannot keep getting away with it.
It's utterly stupid. I cannot believe we go 1 week where we had an 87-year-old man being stabbed to death with a mobility scooter to now this happening. And I don't understand how they broke into Olivia's home. I mean, Jesus. 9-year-old girl just going about her daily business. It kind of, for me, like, guys, please forgive me, because I know this opinion's going to sound crazy here. And to all those listeners out there who are listening tonight on YouTube, just, you might find this a bit interesting, but remember what's happening in Ukraine, okay, with the Russians, particularly with some of these war crimes they're committing, with the terrorists, particularly that guy in a tank who shot a civilian on an unarmed bicycle, an unarmed civilian. Kind of what these criminals are doing to innocent people over here, it mirrors the same thing. And this news story is absolutely heartbreaking. And I just want to say, a second man has been arrested on suspicion of murder of the 9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell in Liverpool. The 33-year-old from Dovercourt was also arrested on suspicion of 2 counts of attempted murder. He was arrested by armed forces in Lunsford Road on Highton, Liverpool, on Friday afternoon. Merseyside police said the man had been taken to a police station and be questioned by detectives. A police spokesperson said the investigation into Olivia's tragic murder is ongoing, and we still need to build up a strong evidential picture so we can bring those people to justice. Anyone with the information is asked to direct message MER POLCC, that is DM MER POLCC, or contact Crime Stoppers UK on 0800 555 111. That is 0800 555 111 for more information. As to any of the listeners who are living in that area and know a lot about Olivia Pratt-Corbell, because obviously there's people watching this show tonight that probably are going to be in that area where the crime scene took place. Please, guys, contact your local police forces, because there is still, I think, investigations ongoing into this incident. So, please, guys, we need to get these civilians named, because if not, we face bigger problems with crime. Zach, I'm going to ask you this question now. Do you think the police and crime sentencing bill, which has gone through Parliament now, which does stop like protesting that, do you think there's got to be a separate bill for knife crime?
I mean, I don't know really, to be fair. I think if I remember some of this would be covered in the police crime and sentencing bill, which I don't agree with all aspects of it, but some of the aspects I do, especially knife crime, rape, murder, manslaughter. All those sort of things are important to include in a bill like this. And I overall, I think why people opposed the bill was obviously the protest measures and some of the messaging inside there. But yeah, I think these sort of measures are important for a bill like the police crime sentencing bill. I don't think it requires a separate bill. I think all it needs is updating legislation to, make sure these sorts of crimes are covered in this bill. I think that's needed.
And Zach, I'm going to say that because I'm going to come on to another group later that caused more protests on our roads and fuel stations. I'm not going to name the group. That's later on in my show on the Great British Star and Red Devil of the Week. So stay tuned for that one. Moving on now to the second news story, which is the horrendous amount of migrants crossing the channel. Now, last week I lost count how many crossed, probably about 5,000, maybe more, because we were averaging over 1,000 a day at some point. Now, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, is planning on announcing, or I think has sort of come up with this new policy idea, where she's planning on taking some of the migrants in question to Albania. She wants them to set off there for processing in 2 to 3 weeks. Zach, do you think this plan is going to work? Because I don't see much point in it, really.
Well, I certainly say this, Charlie. That probably be her last ever act as Home Secretary. Let's just say that. because I mean, a couple of days ago we had a new record for migration across the channel, Charlie. Certainly there as well. It's hit a new record. So if we look at a few days ago, so it was 1,000. I think it was 300 migrants crossed the English Channel in small boats on Monday, which was a new record for a single day crossing. So 1,295 made the crossing in 27 boats. Now, if you think about this, Charlie, 1,000 divided by 27 is about 47 people on a small boat. That that is dangerous, nevertheless, to be said, Charlie. 47 people on average on a boat, on a very small boat as well, is I don't know if you couldn't fit kids in the classroom for that size. I don't know how you fit them on a boat. But yeah, it's incredible. 1,295. So that's beat the record of the previous high, which was 1,185 last November. I mean, if I can't imagine what the figures would be like this November, Charlie, as well. So far this month, 6,168 people have made the crossing in small boat compared to 3,683 in July, and 22,560 people have gone across the English Channel so far this year. At the equivalent point of last year, Charlie, it was 12,500. So that is a 10,000-fold increase compared to last year. That is, well, if anything, Charlie, it's proven that immigration seems to be no better, whatever your policies are, or whatever Brexit, no Brexit, Rwanda, no Rwanda. It's not getting any better. It's getting worse, and the situation just isn't getting any better. As you said, Charlie, the Priti Patel announced the other day, and probably her last ever act as Home Secretary before she probably gets dumped to the backbenches or as party chairman in a reduced role. There was so many coming across Albania, by the way. She did a deal with Albania. So they have offered senior law enforcement support to the UK to provide authorities with intelligence to help processing and removal. This is a deal struck between Priti Patel and the Albanian government. It may see officers in a southern European country take to Kent whilst migrants are processed. So government officials believe around 60% of migrants making channel crossings each day are now Albanian, although this is a figure that could change depending on the full figures at the moment. But yeah, Albania seems to be the main cause of migrants at the moment, and it's not getting any better, Charlie. It's really not.
Well, Zach, I'm going to play for you this this video now, which I will shorten it because obviously of the length time it is. This is Talk TV's Mike Graham talking to another person during an interview as he savaged illegal immigration following some of the biggest migrant crossings we'd ever seen in the UK to date. Have a listen to this.
And looking as if they're in a desperate situation. And you can believe that if you want. But basically, what this is now is a very lucrative business for an awful lot of people who are making an awful lot of money. And it's very obvious that it's a very well-run and very efficient system for getting from point A to point B. I was sort of only half joking this morning when I said this is actually probably the most efficient way to get to Britain.
Well, Mike, I absolutely agree with you. What we have is a cross-national people smuggling infrastructure, which makes a great deal of money in terms of facilitating these journeys. Ultimately, facilitating the journey for thousands of people now who illegally enter the UK. And it is right that we use the term illegal because they're not following the legal processes when it comes to relocating to the UK. And I think that you make a really good point there, Mike, about, to what extent are they truly fleeing violence and persecution? A notable chunk of the illegal migrants that are illegally entering the UK by the English Channel originate from Albania.
Yeah.
Albania has not experienced conflict since the 1997 civil war.
Exactly right. And I mean, we're looking at the numbers here. The previous highest daily number was 1,185. That was on November the 11th, 2021. But this year, before now, it was 696 on August the 1st. That's more or less been doubled by the numbers that came on Monday.
Well, it's remarkable, and the latest figures suggest that on Monday, the number of people who crossed into the UK via the channel was 1,295. There's villages and civil parishes across the country that nowhere near have that kind of population. That's the truth of it. And I think that there's a region of 25 boats, I think 27 boats to be exact, which were intercepted. This is absolutely remarkable. We do have a failing border security system, and the UK government, they're talking about having these advanced. Apparently, it's been reported they're having advanced talks with 5 more African countries, looking to negotiate some kind of Rwanda-style deal. The reality is, Mike, the UK-Rwanda migration partnership has been anything but successful. So I think it's best that they focus on how they can make that workable before entering these further arrangements.
Well, exactly right, because they haven't even been able to send one person, I don't think, to Rwanda, have they? They had a plane ready to go. It started with 30, got down to 11, eventually got down to, I think, 1. And even that person did not even eventually go to Rwanda. So as long as the ECHR seems to be still in commission, the European Court for Human Rights, none of that is going to change. And it seems incredible to me. There are so many people in this country who are very happy to allow this to continue to go on. We've got Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak running to be Prime Minister of this country in a leadership contest. They barely ever mention it. Keir Starmer barely ever mentions it. You've got commentators who say, oh, well, we've always been a welcoming country. That's not the issue. The issue here is not about racism. It's not about blocking people from being able to seek asylum here if in fact they are legitimate asylum seekers. It's about stopping a criminal enterprise. I don't understand why people don't get that.
No, absolutely. Those people smuggling infrastructures I was referring to earlier, these are criminal enterprises and we need to clamp down on them. There's no two ways about it.
Right, thank you there for that interview with Mike Graham and Dr. Rakib Ehsan there on Talk TV about the migration crisis. Zach, what did you take away from that interview? Oh,
sorry,
lost Zach there.
Sorry, my mic was muted there. I've got to have a mic on. But yeah, in terms of what I thought, first of all, it was obviously very. I suppose it's some way partisan because obviously it's two sort of people on the same political spectrum talking to each other in some way. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge, I think, for the new Prime Minister. There's going to be high expectations being set for whoever gets into office, most likely Liz Truss. I mean, Liz Truss talks tough, but can she act tough? That's the thing, though. And can she actually really fix the problem? Because I think it's, if she can't, then who is? Who will? No one's going to be able to do that. And quite frankly, this problem is still going to happen regardless of Rwanda or any other political spectrum such as Brexit. It's still going to happen. Nobody's going to stop doing this. They're going to continue. It was interesting this week, Charlie. I just want to say on the matter relating to this, when Liz Truss was talking about talking to Julie Hartley-Brewer at one of the Tory hustings, interesting presenting choice there, that she was asked whether the French was an ally or a foe, and she didn't seem to think the French was an ally. She sort of would hold a Macron. Liz Truss committed to saying that she would hold Macron account, which was interesting, nevertheless, Charlie, that the Liz Truss is already digging at Emmanuel Macron already, even before she gets into office. Now, that makes the relationship with the French a bit more difficult when it comes to sorting and cooperating with things. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the dynamics between the British government and the French government on how to deal with a few issues. And I suspect that first phone call between, we think it will probably be Liz Truss and Emmanuel Macron as prime ministers, are going to be quite awkward.
Yeah, don't forget what Boris Johnson said during an interview the other day. Oh, that he thought Emmanuel Macron was a friend. I don't know. The French clearly have got problems. I think we've got problems as well. Both of us have getting these illegal migrants out. What do you think, guys? Please comment down below what you make about the migration crisis. Let me know because I'd like to hear it. Moving on now to the war in Ukraine now. Russian invasion Ukraine 6 months in since Vladimir Putin launched his special military operation, aka war, in the Ukraine, claiming to protect Russian speakers, or called Russian separatists in Russian, if you want to call them that. Basically, he wants to protect the security of Russia against what he calls Ukraine as basically the genocidal monsters. I'm not going to say the other bit because it's a bit rude, but
Yeah,
that's what he views Ukraine as. Well, we view Ukraine as a sovereign, democratic nation with an independent, sovereign, democratic, independent nation with a right and a freedom to choose as well. Zach, 6 months into this war, Vladimir Putin's forces have not achieved, I think, any notable gains, or should I say, his noble aims are so far off.
yeah, pretty much. I have to say at the moment. First of all, can I also point out it was Ukrainian Independence Day a few days ago. Happy Slava Ukrainian to all the Ukrainians out there. Well, they managed to get through their day without any without any, a major demolition of their country. Although I believe there was an incident at a train station where they killed multiple people, sadly, and injured many more. Rather unfortunate to see there. And as well, it was a bit it was a bit of another nasty incident that was not needed to be seen, Charlie. It was not needed, and another cowardly attack by the Russians on Ukraine. One thing I have to point out as well, let's go through some today's developments, is that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the concerns are getting big regarding the radiation leak, potential for radiation leak. The UK state energy operator has warned that our risk of hydrogen leakage and sputtering of radioactive substances at the Russian-occupied plant. Authorities were distributing iodine tablets to residents who lived in the plant in case of radiation exposure. So there is still a very severe situation there, Charlie, in terms of Zaporizhzhia power plant there, and it's very, very, very concerning indeed. I have to say it's very worrying that even a risk of a radiation leak could result in another Chernobyl, which I'm so worrying, Charlie. It's incredibly, incredibly concerning. What obviously we're reading as well. The Russia and the Ukraine accuse each other of sharing the air around Europe's largest nuclear power plant. Moscow troops repeatedly shelled the site of the nuclear power plant over the past day. The Ukrainian state nuclear company Energy said Russia's defense military claimed Ukrainian troops shelled the territory of the station 3 times the past day. In terms of the plant and the Zaporizhzhia plant, there are going to be inspectors going over to the plant from what I'm reading at the moment. It will probably be next week, although details are being finalised. And Zelensky spoke out today saying that the marking UK Aviation Day, which he pledged that Kyiv troops will destroy the occupants potential step by step as well. So yeah, it's been a bit of a busy day, a bit of a worrying day if you're nearing to the power plant. But yeah, that concern at the moment is the power plant and avoiding a radioactive incident at the moment, Charlie.
Yes, very interesting as well. The head of the UK's energy regulator, Ofgem, has blamed Russia for driving up cost of living crisis, resulting in the UK price cap rising by 80% on Ofgem approved a £1,578 increase on the current price cap of £1,971 for the average dual fuel tariff. That was also announced. The German ambassador to UK has acknowledged there is a risk for public support in UK that could wane this winter. Please, at Christmas, do not fight. That's my message to all those war as well. Now, there was also some interesting developments in Russia earlier this week, which I want to go through right now, regarding some kind of killing or assassination. There was actually a car bomb that exploded. It was actually this girl here, Diana Durangina or someone, who actually reportedly was killed after her car bomb, which was a Mini Cooper, caught fire. Now, Russia claimed that Ukraine caused the attack, but Russia also claimed that they could have Ukraine claiming Russia caused the attack. Both sides blaming each other. So what did you make to this?
Oh, it's interesting nevertheless, Charlie. I mean, you'll probably find it's the Russians. Sorry, not the. It's on Russian territory. Obviously Ukraine's being blamed for this. We're probably waiting for formal confirmation who actually did it. I mean, to be fair, I don't know, Charlie. I think most likely could have been the Ukrainians, but again, it's a bit hard to say at the moment on who it could have really been at the moment, Charlie. But yeah. I would be surprised if it was the Ukrainians, but I don't rule it out, to be fair, Charlie, because I have claimed responsibility for other possible attacks in Russian-controlled territories, probably as a revenge sort of way. It's significant because this one's close to Vladimir Putin in many ways. I think it used to be the ex-finance minister of Putin's daughter or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's something quite close to Vladimir Putin that's been done in this. So yeah, it's interesting that whoever done it is probably going to find some revenge on them.
yeah.
Whoever it is.
Well, we don't know. There's lots to discuss, and we'll keep you updated on all that news. But can I just say, the war in Ukraine has been horrendous. My thoughts with all those who've lost loved ones. Moving on now to the sport briefing. We're going to start with the Formula One Belgian Grand Prix, the first race back since the summer break. And there's been plenty of action today. We had qualifying. Max Verstappen did qualify on pole. However, he will start towards the back of the grid after changing multiple engine components. That also includes second place driver in the championship and behind the championship leader Verstappen, Charles Leclerc for Ferrari. He will have multiple power unit changes along with, I think, Lando Norris, Mick Schumacher as well, possibly Tsunoda. He's at the back anyway. So, yeah, plenty of drivers changing power units and over allocations of ICEs as well. Zach, what did you take away from the first qualifying session back from the summer break?
Yeah, well, what I took back from that was, again, Red Bull the fastest, but they obviously decided to take the penalties now. It's not really surprising, to be fair. You might as well take this penalty now on probably one of the fastest circuits of the year, and then use your allocation up for later on to retain it for probably the high-speed circuits. But yeah, Red Bull are fast. They really, to be fair, Mercedes, I have to say, have gone back a little bit, to be fair. I don't know whether it's because of the tightening of the floor regulations, but yeah, it's quite interesting, nevertheless, to see them being slower compared to last time out. I mean, yeah, all right, okay, Hungary was a much more different configured circuit. It was much more bendy. It was not really a high-speed circuit. But you sort of ride. I mean, 1.8 seconds Hamilton was off to Verstappen. That there surely must be some concern for Mercedes. It is colder, yes. It is colder, and it's probably not. They're going to struggle with tire heating, but as well. But that 1.8 seconds, Charlie, off the pace is not good. But the net pole is Carlos Sainz because, as you said, Verstappen, Leclerc have all got grid penalties. Norris has got grid penalties. Joe Guan Yu's got grid penalties. I think Valtteri Bottas has got grid penalty as well. Mick Schumacher's got grid penalties. So many of them got grid penalties, Charlie. That is all a bit confusing. But we know that Verstappen is going to start ahead of Leclerc based on qualifying results. And Bottas, I think, started 14th because he had only had a 15-place grid penalty, whereas the others had the rest of the back to the grid penalties. So, yeah, it's been all been a bit confusing. But it's Sainz on net pole ahead of Perez tomorrow. And Alonso is going to be starting in third position. Alonso, and obviously new Aston Martin driver for next season. Still waiting for the Alpine replacement. Who knows? It could be Daniel Ricciardo, because Daniel Ricciardo is now out in McLaren for next year, terminating their contract a year early. The rumor is that the Oscar may go to McLaren, aka Oscar Piastri, which would be a good appointment. Only doubt I have him in. He's obviously had a year out, so whether he could do well in that seat, who knows? But yeah, it's going to be an event. I have to say, Charlie, it's going to be an eventful race tomorrow. It's sort of a mixed up grid. A lot of cars are out of position, and we'll see what it's like. getting out from the back of the grid to the front. I mean, it could probably be easier than some people think. I think it is. I think it's very much possible for lots of Leclerc and Verstappen to actually win the race if they get strategy right, that is, and they can quickly go through the field. How fast can they get through the field is going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, my driver of the day, though, was Alex Albon in the Williams, getting through to Q3,
Oh, yeah, great
first
job.
time of the season. I think Williams deserved that, given the position of where, if I could actually check, Latifi was 11th. But that's obviously because others had grid penalties. No, Verstappen, Ocon, Norris,
Q1.
Zhou, and Schumacher required start back of the grid, use additional power units. Bottas penalised 30 grid places for a use additional power in gear unit and gearbox elements. Race tomorrow will be afternoon, about I think 1 or 2 o'clock. So we'll keep you updated with that race there as well. Just want to say there was actually a horrible accident in the Formula 3 race as well.
That was awful.
I'm going to just tell you quickly, guys, whilst we're here on the show today, the drivers in question, it was actually at the fast left-hander at Blanchimont. You can see exactly. It was Oliver Goff and Zane Maloney who collided. I will get the image up for you now. This was in the F3 race, by the way. Here it is. Basically, it was a Campos and a Trident that came together. The red flag was immediately shown, both cascading towards Maloney flipping into the air on the gravel. I mean, Zach, Spa has had a lot of upgrades this weekend, particularly gravel traps added at like the first corner at the Source and down at turn 8 and at several other corners, and even at Blanchimont as well. Do you think this has made the racing a little bit safer, or do you think Spa still?
Yeah, I have to say, look at the accent. You saw the accent there, Charlie. They've added gravel to. They've had a lot of that gravel to turn 1. Lots of corners now have gravel instead of tarmac, because they want the bikes to race there now in the future. They want the bikes to be racing at Spa, which would be good to see. So they're having to add a bit more gravel. I'll tell you now, Charlie, that impact would have been much worse had it been tarmac there, because that would have been a much more bigger impact into that wall. But obviously, because the gravel, it slowed the car down quite significant, not significantly, but enough to present a worse impact. Now, I suppose what happened, what was even worse, is there was a secondary impact where it obviously hit the tyre barrier and then got hit by the car and it flipped over. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse. I think if it had the tarmac there, Charlie, it could have been a lot worse. That was lucky to see both drivers get out of the car. That's the main thing.
Yeah, it's a horrible accident, and I'm glad both drivers walked out away from that unscathed. So Formula 1 will be back tomorrow. We're going to jump straight to the Cup Series now, the NASCAR Cup Series. Last weekend, we had the Go Bowling at the Glen race, which was at Watkins Glen in the wet conditions. Kimi Räikkönen making his Cup Series debut in the 91 Trackhouse Chevrolet Camaro. However, though, Räikkönen's race ended in the wall after contact early on. But Zach, Kyle Larson taking a very surprise win in the end, despite him and Chase Elliott having a bit of contact late on.
Oh, yes. It was certainly an eventful race. No doubt about it, at the Glen as well. I saw the first couple of half of it. Unfortunately, didn't get to see the rest of it. But Kyle Larson with a big victory. He actually did a double this weekend. Kyle Larson that weekend, because he won the Xfinity. I think he won the Xfinity Series race as well. So it was a big win. It was a double sweep for Kyle Larson, winning Xfinity race, very close as well. Just holding off AJ Allmendinger as well in second. Logano was third. Elliott was fourth. There was a bit of collision actually as well. Suarez was sixth, McDowell seventh, Tyler Reddick seventh, Christopher eighth, Chris Busch ninth, Eric Jones in 10th position, and Kevin Harvick was 12th. That one, as I said, in the Xfinity race, it was Kyle Larson winning that one as well. Big win for him ahead of AJ Allmendinger and Sammy Smith as well in third position. It was an eventful race, no doubt about it. It was very eventful. It started out wet. There was a bit of a delay because there was lightning in the area, and you can't race with lightning in the area, so they delayed the start. They can race in the wet on road courses, and it was pretty eventful, we have to say. the first few laps. It was very eventful, nevertheless, and then it calmed down a little bit. Carl Larson was the victor. We saw Kimi Räikkönen racing that race, but unfortunately, he crashed. Unfortunately, there was a bit of he got involved in the collision, I believe. Was it Todd Gillen that he crashed? I can't remember.
Someone like that.
Yeah, it was, and made contact. 37th for him. Danny Fiat 36 as well. Oh, not good for the international ones, unfortunately. That this last weekend, but nevertheless, we are now onto this weekend. We're onto the Coke 0400. It's the last round of the regular season. Chase Elliott has won that, by the way, because he managed to get enough points at Watkins Glen to win the regular season mathematically. As you can see, Charlie, 6 teams penalised in pre-race inspection. So number 3, number 14, Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, Martin Truex, Cole Custer, Eric Jones, and BJ McLeod have all been penalised. They are presumably going to be going to the rear. Now, I should point out that qualifying was rained out because of, as I said, because of weather. So that means it's going to be order, I think, of more of the championship and owners and stuff like that. It's Carl Larson that's going to be winning on the pole for the race tonight, which starts at midnight UK time. So yeah, it's got a lot to play for. It's the last race of the regular season. We know that one driver who will not be making the playoffs.
Kurt Busch is out for the rest of the season as well, guys. Just to let you know.
He had a medical waiver to get into the playoff if he managed to stay in the top 16. They've now pulled out, so that is now up for grabs, and I suspect we're going to find out the rest of the field overnight and tonight. Saturday night racing under Daytona. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, early Sunday morning, late Saturday night. Well, wherever you are in the US, it'll be Saturday night over there for the Coke 0400. So yeah, Daytona International Speedway, the second and last of the Daytona races this season. So very interesting indeed. Moving on now to the football, the Premier League football, live on Charlie Tolhurst show on YouTube tonight. Includes results that you might want to see very crazy, given a club I'm about to talk to regarding a 9-0 thrashing earlier. Let's go through the results of today's Premier League football action. So here we go. So I'll read you the scores out. Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. Actually, here we go. Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. Brentford 1, Everton 1. Liverpool 9, Bournemouth 0. Manchester City 4, Crystal Palace 2. Brighton 1, Leeds United 0. Chelsea 2, Leicester City 1. And in the other game, Manchester United 1, Southampton 1. Zach, what do you make to the latest Premier League results?
Well, let's start off first of all, Charlie. 9-0 Liverpool against Bournemouth. I mean, that equals the record between probably, I think, Leicester and Southampton and Manchester United and Southampton. Welcome to the 9-0 club, Bournemouth. 9-0 club that you lost, unfortunately. That was a total thrashing. 9 goals. Liverpool have been struggling, Charlie. They got no wins in their first 3 games. And then we come to game 4 and they've absolutely belted it out of the park. 9-0 is unbelievable. Their comeback has been quite insane, to be fair, Charlie. 9-0. I mean, so that is an important victory there. City Palace was another quite interesting game. Palace was 2-0 up at the end of the first half, and Manchester City scored 4 in the second to win 4-2. It was quite the comeback indeed. Manchester City, they're pretty good at coming from behind. Remember Aston Villa on the final day of the season? They were 2-0 down, losing the title. Last 20 minutes, scored 3 goals. I mean, they're pretty good at this. Man City are. Brighton 1-0 win over Leeds. That was a pretty good result for Brighton, to be fair. They're on a good run, Brighton. Up there at the top. Don't call them dark horse contenders yet, but, you know, looking good for them so far. Chelsea, wow, they did 10 men most of the match. Raheem Sterling scored 2 goals, and they still won against Leicester City. I think put your odds on for, I think, Brendan Rodgers to be the first manager to be sacked this season. Put your
Really
odds on
interesting. Wow.
I think put your odds on that. I have to say, regretfully, as a Leicester City fan, I think it's probably going to happen. Unfortunately, but yeah, that's what I think. And another eventful Southampton United game. It was a 1-0 win with Bruno Fernandes being the goal scorer against it. It was a pretty uneventful game, to be fair. As well, the Fulham game, Arsenal Fulham game 2-1 was a bit more eventful as well. Arsenal scoring a crucial corner to get the victory. So tomorrow, 3 games. Wolves Newcastle is at 2. Villa West Ham's at 2. That's going to be an interesting game. And Nottingham Forest v Spurs as well. There's also a midweek fixture coming up as well. I should point out, Charlie, what's wrong?
Yeah, because of the World Cup, there's obviously been some changes to fixtures.
Yeah, so there's been a midweek fixture. And it's going to also on the Tuesday, it's going to be fixtures such as Leeds, Everton, Southampton, Chelsea, Fulham, Brighton, Palace, Brentford. The Wednesday ones, I think the two big fixtures are City and Nottingham Forest and West Ham v Spurs, London double there. And then the Thursday, I think the only match there will be Leicester City against Manchester United. Who knows? Leicester could have sacked their manager by then, but I don't think it's probably unlikely. I think they're going to give him one more game. And I think if they get smashed comfortably, then it's going to be ciao for Brendan Rodgers, in my opinion.
We'll see what happens as well. Could also Everton's manager, I was talking to someone before coming on the show, Everton's manager Frank Lampard be on the chopping block, given their recent form. Well, just have to wait and see on that one. So that is all the football news aside. Back next week for more action on the football. I'll link all of that in the description after the show goes out. There'll be description updates on where you can find all the latest news. And that, now it's time, guys, for Charlie's good news. What good news do I have this week on my show? Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm going to have, and that is something a bit different this week on the good news segment. I'm going to be talking about Yanimais this week. Now, Yanimais, or as he's called on social media, I think Yanni Chalmabolis or something. It's got a very interesting surname. Yanni is a guy who wraps cars up. Now, you would have seen people like celebrities like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in a Lamborghini Urus that got wrapped as well. We've also seen Jeremy Lynch, who also does football stuff. He loves these cars. He had an Audi R8 done. His Urus got done as well. And Aventador, I think, got wrapped as well once. It's very, very interesting because Yanni is a guy who is full of character. And he's recently obviously launched channel Yanimais, which is located in London. It's a wrapping space. Basically, they take cars in to be wrapped. And it's a very, very interesting place. I want to say to people, okay, Yanni has been an inspiration to young people because he has very much interested many people in general, because he's just, I mean, look, I'm going to show you the example here of some of the cars he's done. This is a custom wrapped Aventador that he's done. Obviously, this car is a 6.5 V12 when it was new, 700 horsepower. This was up for Sergio Aguero, who is a former footballer. A lot of these football players love Yanni for getting their cars wrapped. I mean, look at this. I can say Yanimai has certainly done well here with that car. It was a custom wrap machine. It looks a bit sort of like silverish or black.
It's good.
It is a really nice car. It's actually got the pictures of the interior. Also, they sometimes do the interior updates as well. They had like lighting and stuff. That's the interior of the Aventador, by the way. That's just like the same stock interior. But obviously, colour-wise, it has been wrapped accordingly. But I'm going to show you guys quickly as well what he done to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's Urus, because this wrap was, again, I think, another custom wrap he done. It was wrapped in a black marble print. This was obviously last year. Here's Yanni, pictured with him, with Yanni. It was set you back £160,000 for a 4-litre V8 engine, 189 mile an hour Urus. Here it is here in its finished form. That is the wrap that Yanni gave. He also added the personal touch on the car as well. He's also done a car for them. He also done a car up as well For his girlfriend, he gave a surprise to Range Rover. And also, guys, if you want to know, he also works very closely with a YouTuber called Jeremy Lynch, who used to be on Britain's Got Talent many years ago. He's done a car up for him. He's also done some drag racing with Jeremy Lynch as well. Never be done before. A custom Urus. He actually wrapped up as well. I mean, look, he's a brilliant guy. You should respect him for what he does because there used to be a big television series on telly, and I used to watch it so much, and he got me into sort of looking at wrapping cars and that. Imagine having my Ford Fiesta wrap; that'd be quite cool.
Oh yeah,
like having this Volkswagen up, Barry. We'd both be like sort of. And by the way, that's the cars we own, guys. To all listeners out there, and I just think as well, it'd be nice to sort of imagine having a car with like a dragon on the front, dragon body stuff. Imagine someone like I name it. And I think one celebrity in particular that would probably benefit all this. Probably someone like maybe one of the richest men in the world. Maybe Elon Musk probably would like something like one of his Teslas.
Tesla, yeah, I was saying
getting wrapped up in like sort of with a dragon on the front or SpaceX on the front or something. I wonder what that would be like because it's very interesting. Zach, what do you make to Yanni's wrapping of cars? And do you think he also brings a lot of energy to social media as well?
He does. He certainly brings a lot of passion, fun, and interesting content to social media. I mean, the fact that these celebrities are driving this sort of thing means he's obviously, they obviously like his materials. They've obviously paid him well for these sort of material. It works extremely well. And it looks great, actually, what he does. They look cool. They look brilliant. Well done. He's a good content creator, and he's a good car modificator as well.
Yeah, Yanni is this guy who he's really, really like he's just so clever at what he does. I mean, you can honestly imagine that. This is basically a little video I'm going to play for you now of exactly what he done when it comes to wrapping up a car. Never seen be done before is a Lamborghini Urus. I'm going to play just a bit of it, but I want to see, guys, exactly how you react to this YouTube video because it is quite interesting, trust me, what he does to this Urus. So yeah, have a listen to this.
I didn't even know you could do this until I saw it on Yanni's car. He had this white tyre running and it looked amazing. And I remember saying to you, that looks incredible. Is there any way we can get it on the car? He said, yeah, it's easy. Steering wheel? It hasn't got a lot of mileage on the car, but the steering wheel is really worn. Our car is not the best on the steering wheel, so we're going to change that. Probably put a carbon one on it. And give it a wash. Is the wash complimentary or it'll be complimentary? The complimentary hidden in the bill. Well, listen, that's Jeremy Lynch, that's Jezza, that's his channel right back here. Let's wrap the car.
It looks really nice, especially next to his Lambo. Imagine that. Lambo, Aventador Urus, gonna look sick. We've done the bonnet, now we're gonna jump on the wing, and then hopefully this car will be easy for us, hopefully.
Okay, just about interesting thing Sai just asked us is why we haven't gone all the way to the edge. Now, that section of the roof, we've got a curtain airbag runs. Hopefully it doesn't happen, fingers crossed, but in the event that airbag needs to blow, if we've got fibers there, we don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to react. So that part of it is kept as it should be. That section of the roof is meant to collapse if the airbag blows anyway. So we don't want to add anything to that, just for safety.
It's not just a case of just slapping them on the fire. There's a lot of cleaning, a lot of prep. First, we've gone with a degreaser detergent, and we'll give it a brush, tire rubber cleaner, key up with a bit of sandpaper. Only where the letters need to go, haven't got to do the whole tire, just cleaning the surface.
You haven't seen it. Yeah. It's very different to what it did look like. It looked like this originally. So that was the matte PPF, the Lamborghini Urus with the Nero body kit. And that is now It's a totally different animal. I loved it before. Can't wait. I'm really excited. Really excited. You ready? I'm ready. All right. Oh my gosh. Wowza. That is unbelievable. It looks so good. So it's fully wrapped in chrome black. It's got the glossback Tron line. It's got the white tyre writing. And obviously it's got the Starlight roof line inside. But the Tron works, doesn't it? See the Tron? Like we could decide whether to do it, not to do it, but the Tron works. It works. And of course he's now uniformed with his Aventador. Yeah. You've got uniform cars. I've never had uniform cars. Funny, the other one's broken down because I forgot to charge it again. Once you get to charge the cars, when you have an Aventador, you need to have one trip to charge if you don't drive them around. Love the wheels, man. Makes the wheel look massive, doesn't it? It just adds that extra detail, man. So good. So good. And that's just the outside. Yeah. I can't wait to see the inside. Obviously, it's daylight. But yes. Have a look. Brilliant, man. It is brilliant. And you can change colours. How do you change colours? Yeah, here. Got red, green, blue, pink, purple. You can go any colour you want. You can go multiple colours. It can jump. It can jump with music. You can change colours. You got to remember, this is daylight. This is daylight. When it's night, it's really, really bright. It's like, you're like, oh, the steering wheel. I forgot about the steering wheel. Look at the steering wheel. The steering wheel's Alcantara. It was very worn here. We've now done it full leather with the red stitch and we've made it all carbon. The problem is now I need the steering wheel for my car. Oh, it looks so good. I really didn't like the Alcantara. No. That was the only thing about the car that I didn't like. It wears, but that, you know, it's obviously a lot more chunky now. I think so. Yeah. So this is better than your steering wheel. Yes. Why you got to say that? Why you got to do that? And he's got Starlight roof line. Mine's there. Look, mine's here. Look at my steering wheel. Dead. I just want to get as a reference point. Oh, it's still nice though. It's like basic. It's so,
Thank you there, guys, for watching Yanni do up Jeremy Lynch's Urus. Very interesting. So before we move on, what did you make to that video?
Well, it was interesting. It sounded like they had a lot of fun doing it. That's all I have to say on that one. It sounded quite fun.
Yeah, very interesting. I love this. This kind of stuff is what I love. I love seeing wrapped cars. It'd be brilliant if I could get mine done one day, but I'd have to get a more expensive car to do that first. Right. Time for the papers now. We are all ready and set to go through them. And I do have, we've got we just did, yeah, there we go. The papers are now in the ready. Let's go and do the reviews. Right, let's get on. Sunday's national newspaper headlines. The Telegraph goes with Truss Mall's nuclear option of a 5% VAT cut. The Sunday People goes, is this the end of the Sunday roast? That comes as, will the traditional Sunday roast fall victim to rapidly rising energy bills? The Mirror goes for 6 former X Factor contestants say they were bullied on the talent show. The Mail on Sunday goes, Princess Beatrice and Eugene's have asked for Prince Charles to get their father, Prince Andrew, back to royal duties. The Observer goes, unions to join forces for a wave of strikes over cost of living. And Labour will protect BBC independence. That's to do with Emily Mayfield saying that they were anti-British. Sunday Express said that, run by Tories, by the way. Sunday Express goes with a huge measures on the way to help Britain's energy bills. Boris golden future ahead. He's going very soon. The Daily Star Sunday goes, child killing accused stabbed in cells. That is the latest newspapers. What do you make to all of them at the moment?
Oh, let's start at the top, shall we? Let's go with, is it the Telegraph headline? This is interesting. This is an interesting possible thing that Liz Truss could be doing. Liz Truss is considered a VAT cut of 5% across the board to tackle the cost of living crisis. This apparently cost around £38 billion, but it would save, the average household would be saved by £1,300 a year. It would also protect businesses from collapsing and could come alongside more targeted measures to help the worst off as well. That's an interesting one. Now, you remember Liz Truss previously accused Rishi Sunak of doing the Gordon Brown of economics. Remember the last time that someone did a 5% VAT cut? Gordon Brown. Right, okay. The Treasury will present the next Prime Minister's plans and models on Gordon Brown's response to 2008 financial crisis. So someone who's criticised Gordon Brown is actually going to do something that Gordon Brown introduced. Make it make sense, but in any ways. But this is apparently what Liz Truss is considering, according to the Sunday Telegraph. It's going to cost £38 billion. How inflationary it's going to be, I do not know. But yeah, as much as so, another 38 billion across another 30 billion pounds worth of tax cuts and tax interest, things that have really been out. I'm not sure whether we're going to get another inflationary increase or not. But yeah, that's what Liz Truss is considering. It may make for quite a popular move, to be fair. The 5% VAT cut could probably go down quite well with Conservative Party members and Conservative voters. Sunday People goes forward with a very interesting one. Is this the end of a Sunday roast? If you were on the right, you probably could say that's a bit woke, saying that it could be the end of the Sunday roast. But in seriousness, no. It's gonna apparently it's apparently costs £5 energy bill just to cook your dinner. It costs £5 to cook your dinner. In fairness, and probably because of all the energy crisis, Charlie, we may well see basically people use their ovens less because they're using up electricity and energy. So they may not bother doing Sunday roast. They may cook via other methods instead. That would be interesting. But yeah, is this the end of the Sunday roast? It's never the end of the Sunday roast. It will sure come back one day. That's probably what I think. The Sunday Mirror. Let's go to Sunday Mirror, actually, because the Sunday Mirror goes for an interesting one. This is been reports of bullying when the X Factor has aired by six former contestants have come forward and as suing Simon Cowell's firm, Signco, which is the production company.
There's a record label as well.
That's producing X Factor as well. One of the acts claimed wannabes were treated like pawns. A moment before going on stage, were deeply deprived in tears and suffering trauma. The singer said being on the show was a horrific experience we've been suffering for years. There's been no allegation that Simon Cowell was in any way aware of the personalities involved in alleged incidents or behaviours, Charlie. That's what the Mirror is reporting, but I expect we may well get a response nevertheless. This lawsuit is going to cost £1 million, apparently, from what this has been saying as well. The Sun on Sunday, plea, give dad a job, Charles. This is a royal shock. I can't actually see on my it's not updated from tomorrow papers today yet. But yeah, it's an interesting headline. They're giving his dad a job. That'd be interesting, nevertheless. As well. This is obviously talking about the future of the royal family. Who's going to get the jobs? Who's not really, to be fair. As well, it will be interesting to see which ones do get the jobs. Interestingly, who, if Charles does become king, who sort of steps up to the line and gets additional roles within the royal family will be interesting to see. As well, the Observer goes for unions to join forces for wave of strikes over the cost of living. Yes.
Why do we have to have more strikes? Ridiculous.
More strikes. As well, just to put up as well. It's going to be interesting. Britain,
especially when the schools are due to go back, especially like a week on Monday. Jeez.
Of coordinated industrial action by striking unions this autumn in protest of the cost of living crisis, according to the Observer. A series of motion tabled by the country's biggest unions ahead of the TUC Congress next month demand that they work close together to maximise their impact and win the fight for inflation-related pay rises. If this isn't going to cause a fight with the Conservative government, and I don't know what will, Charlie, to be fair, it could be. I expect coordinated strike could result in general strikes. Yeah, I expect this is not going to be the end of the matter as well. More strikes, more inflation-related pay rises demanded as well over cost of living. Keep in mind as well, there's also on the 1st of October a campaign for people not to pay their energy bills that day. They're all going to be cancel their direct debits with their energy providers. That's an actual thing that many people are actually taking part in. Keep an eye on that. Nevertheless, to be fair, Charlie, it'll be interesting to see. The Sunday Express,
a Daily Mail style headline.
Yeah, they go for a Daily Mail style headline, which is always like the Sunday Express. Boris, golden future ahead, and not for him. Not for him. He's out of Prime Minister office in 2 weeks' time. Golden for PM insists that Britain will not back on the energy crisis. A huge package of measures on its way to help the millions of Britons terrified by sky-high energy bills, says Boris Johnson, who's been on holiday, who's on a luxurious holiday for the last couple of weeks, whilst everyone else has probably been suffering through it. Yeah.
Where's the government? We need them.
No, the government. We got a zombie government, Charlie. We have a zombie government. It's just telling you. It'll be up to Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak to decide which measures are needed, but nevertheless,
more on Rishi in a minute. Yeah.
Daily Star goes on with a 9-year-old. The child killing accused has been stabbed in the cells. The man accused of stabbing to death a 9-year-old has been left with deep slash wounds after a jail attack. One of them, Tolhurst Skipas, 22, was lucky to survive. Now, I have to say, the stabbing of the one that killed the child, obviously horrible, but a stabbing also inside prison, unacceptable as well. Let's just say that unacceptable. It can't have it both ways. Can't kill that one off. Now, I'm just checking. There may well be other headlines as well. Oh yes, the Sunday. The one headline that's just come in, Charlie, is the Sunday Times. There's majority now expect delays in NHS treatment. Almost half think service getting worse. 6 in 10 appointment waits unreasonable. And also on here as well, Truss moves emergency cuts to income tax and VAT. So this is not just the Sunday Telegraph reporting what Truss is planning. It appears the Times as well has been reporting as well. They also have an interview with Laura Kuenssberg, who's going to be is going to be the new replacement on Sunday mornings from 9 a.m., which was previously Andrew Marr, then Sophie Royruff. It's now going to be Laura Kuenssberg in that seat, beginning, I think, the 4th of September at 9 o'clock in the morning on BBC One. So that's an interview with her ahead of her new presenting position as well. But that is the papers tomorrow, Charlie.
Plenty of them. We'll keep you updated with all that news this week. And can I just say as well about Stephen Barclay, the health secretary? Oh my God, he got
I saw that.
He got heckled by someone saying ambulance waiting times are unacceptable, given that someone waited 15 hours the other day for an ambulance for having a stroke or a faint. What is this? NHS waiting lists. We've got to fix them. So that's all I'm going to say. There will actually be a video coming up on that on my YouTube channel on the state of the country very, very soon. But it's time now for the Great British Stars and Red Devils of the Week. Oh, I've got some pretty interesting nominations this week. Right, I'm going to start off with the stars this week. Well, one of the stars I'm going to give it to is Tyson Fury this week, who has been encouraging the government to campaign against knife crime. He's called on the government to introduce tougher laws to stop knife crime becoming out of control. He's actually called, I think, on the Mayor of London, especially Sadiq Khan, to do this because I think one of his cousins got murdered the other week, I think, or stabbed. It's a wicked act against humanity. We can't be seeing crimes like this he's calling for the government to introduce tougher laws on knife crime, stop and searching. I've even called for that for this week as well. I've suggested that stop and searching should be used and much tougher rules should be in place. The police have got to be out there rather than dancing around in the streets.
Absolutely.
The last week for our police forces has been absolutely horrendous. The police need to do their job. They are some people just responsibilities to go around policing. We need to see police doing their job. Will the extra officers come? We don't know. But I think as well, Tyson Fury sends out a good message that the government must immediately clamp down on knife crime, and also the Mayor of London, especially in the capital. It's actually horrendous there. We've had, in the last week or so, we've had at least 2 to 3, well, at least 2 big stabbings within the space of a week. It's ridiculous. Also getting my nomination for the Great British Star this week. Well, I'm going to give the star this week to another person who I think has been it's Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, for that speech he gave in the Ukraine's Independence Day. I have to say, he has been an outstanding leader during this horrifying conquest that the Russians have been trying to unleash on their country. He, in my view, is going to be the next Winston Churchill. And I do think there will be a film which he will be starring in, dedicating this horrifying war that is going on. Very similar to what the Battle of Britain film was released as well. I think Ben and Casey Affleck were in that film, I'm pretty sure. I'm not off the top of my head, but that film was actually based on that true battle between Nazi Germany and Britain. Red Devils of the week. Well, the Red Devil of this week absolutely goes to Just Stop Oil for this ridiculous amount of protest. I spoke to one of my friends the other day who was actually caught up in this. They were sabotaging petrol stations and petrol pumps. There was actually one of the petrol stations around here was shut the other day, I think. Essex police deployed day and night just to keep traffic moving. I mean, talking about this group who already tried to blow up News UK and breaking into there. They were apparently climbing over fences. They were apparently 31 people were arrested. Demonstrators got petrol stations, sabotaging fuel pumps. That was on Wednesday morning. They done this. They also protested around Thurrock, around a landfill site. Thurrock services, Clackett Lane. Just Stop Oil blocked their entrances by around 5 a.m. in the morning, sitting in a row with banners. Some people rendered fuel pumps, breaking display glasses and covering them with spray paint. The forecourts at Classic Lane and Thurrock remain closed Wednesday afternoon. Sorry, please. So they made 13 arrests in connection with the 7 at Cobham. Well, Essex Police said that arrested 11 people on suspicion of criminal damage at Thurrock. Unacceptable protests. As I've said before, the group seem to be turning into the new Insulate Britons. If Liam Milton's in that group, why is he still doing this? And my other Red Devil of the week, well, no surprise, this Red Devil is going to be Sunak, who gets my Red Devil of the week for saying that lockdowns were the biggest mistake ever. Well, yes, I understand that in my view, but Rishi Sunak was the man who came and supported the government's lockdowns, and then backtracking on it for me felt a bit weird. Zach, what do you make to my nominations this week for the stars?
I agree. I think it's total hypocrisy from Rishi Sunak. I think he was probably one of the lockdown skeptics in cabinet, but he still went along with government policy of supporting lockdown. I mean, I agreed with it personally. With lockdowns at the time, I think it was necessary. But I think his position on this Rishi Sunak was just, it's just pure hypocrisy, nevertheless. Right, let's get on to my one. The British Star for me goes to a content creator in America called Euromaker. We don't have an official name, but Euromaker did something quite special the other day. He saved a tiny bunny from drowning. Yes, no, seriously. A man rescued a dying bunny that was drowning in his pool after spotting a strange reflection out of the corner of his eye. That is incredible human intelligence to see whether a bunny is at risk. He found the bunny just as it stopped moving, clearly exhausted, began dropping its head underwater. The 35-year-old frantically scrambled to find his pool scoper and get the bunny to safety. A man who makes YouTube videos then grabbed his camera, began filming the situation. Initially, the bunny was too tired and far too weak to even move. Occasionally, it tried to raise its head, but even that was too strenuous. But the creator moved the rabbit into the sunlight and fed it with vegetables, sitting with the animal for several hours, hoping it was going to warm up and get some strength. It did, thankfully. Got to give this content creator, we don't have an official name, Euromaker is the British Star of the Week for me, Charlie. Incredible stuff as well. Just great stuff overall from this content creator, as I describe it here. The Red Devil this week, Charlie, go to Ofgem. I have to say, it's the easiest decision for me this week because, as we know, Ofgem announced this week that their energy price cap's going from 1,900 to 3,500 from October, Charlie. It's an 80% increase in the price cap from October, 1,900 to 3,500. And the price cap is expected to go up even more. It's going to possibly hit 4,000, maybe even 5,000 in the next few months as well. And that is some stunning figures that are potentially going to haunt us for quite a while. We not only may well get 5,000, 6,000 figures, Charlie, we may well get inflation at 18%. So Ofgem pushing up the price cap to 3,500 is ripping off customers whilst their bosses get millions of pounds in profits from, you know, what they do to it, basically. They get millions of pounds of profits and we poor buggers get to pay the price of it all, I'm afraid, Charlie. It is horrifying that these prices are going up by 80%. We're going to have 4.3 million families going into fuel poverty. And Martin Lewis is having many more reasons to get angry, Charlie. I mean, if nothing is going to happen now, when is it going to happen? There's a hellhole coming. There is absolute hellhole coming of action on the way. I mean, Martin Lewis, by the way, is hosting Good Morning Britons on Mondays next month. He's calling it Money Mondays, and he'll be on the presenting desk 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. But yeah, it's going to be cost of living. It's going to be a huge focus over the next few months, especially into the next couple of weeks, no doubt about it. The new Prime Minister is going to have a situation where they're going to have to deal with something very quickly and very swiftly. I mean, come on, Ofgem, 3,500. Keir Starmer's Labour policy, much better. Price cap, £1,000 savings for everybody, much better, I have to say, as well. It's how long would you think will Labour Party policy be implemented by the Conservative Party? I mean, they've done it before, windfall tax and other things. They'll probably do an inevitable U-turn at some point when they find out it's quite popular in the opinion polls. But yes, the Red Devil this week goes to Ofgem, Charlie, for their 80% price cap increase.
I have to say, Ofgem, definitely what I don't understand why the prices are going to go so high, skyrocket, and energy prices especially, there's a big crisis. My actual Red Devil of the week, though, I think we're all going to have to agree, is going to be the Just Stop Oil protesters. I think, to be honest with you, saying that a protester can damage a petrol station, these BP garages that get targeted, don't they, so much?
Yeah, they absolutely do. They're going to continue to get targeted, by the way. You know, because I bet all these oil protests will continue. Nevertheless, whilst these fuel prices go, I mean, they'll start to come down. But I expect there's going to be a lot more protests over the next few weeks, regardless, anyway.
And go slow as well, them ones.
Yeah, those ones. They're going to be a lot more protests over the next few weeks and probably over the next few months as well. It may not be on the road, but probably in the other industry as well, in the working environment, where we will probably see even more of these protests. Like, the postmen were on protest this week, Charlie. 115,000 of them from Royal Mail on strike this week, overpay. And we still got a few more train strikes on the way, I suspect, as well, and potentially a teaching union strike as well, maybe as well.
Right, no.
More of it coming up.
More strikes just as the kids go back to school very soon. No. Please end this madness right now. Indeed. But that's all we've got time for on the Charlie Tolhurst show tonight. thank you for everyone who's tuned in this bank holiday in August, the final one of August, one of the last ones of the year. Thank you so much for watching. The next show for the Charlie Tolhurst Show is in September. First week of September will be great, I'm sure. See you next week. See you next time for another episode, Charlie Tolhurst Show. Take care. Goodbye.